When I first met Lena, her confidence filled every room. The kind that made conversations pause just so people could watch her laugh. She was bold, outspoken, always surrounded by friends, men and women alike. I admired that. She made life exciting. When we started dating, I never questioned her social nature. Trust, I believed, was a foundation of love. But after we married, something began to change. Her friends weren't just casual companions anymore. They became constant. Late-night texts, secret lunches, inside jokes I wasn't part of, they became her routine. At first, I tried to ignore the tight knot in my chest, telling myself not to be controlling, that she just needed space. But space, when abused, becomes distance. Soon, she was emotionally miles away. It started subtly, a phone face down on the table. Quiet laughter from another room. Messages deleted before I could notice them. And when I asked who she was talking to, she'd snap, "Don't you trust me?" It wasn't the words that hurt. It was how easily she shifted guilt onto me, as if caring made me the problem. I spent more hours at work just to escape the tension at home. She seemed happier that way, free, unbothered. That's when I realized something. Some people don't want freedom from control. They want freedom from accountability. Then came that night. She came home past midnight, a faint scent of men's cologne lingering on her jacket. She smiled as if nothing was wrong. "Who are you with?" I asked softly. "Just friends." She rolled her eyes. "You seriously need to stop acting jealous, Mark." Her tone wasn't offensive. It was mocking. That was the first time something inside me snapped. Not anger, not heartbreak, just silence. A deep, empty calm telling me the woman who once looked at me with love wasn't here anymore. A few days later, the argument erupted. She paced across the bedroom, throwing clothes into a suitcase, shouting, "You're suffocating me. You need to accept my male friends, or I'm leaving." Her words were a challenge, not a plea. She wanted me to beg. I could see it in her eyes, expecting tears, desperation, a pleading, "Don't go." I leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching her with the calm of a man who had already let go. When she looked up for a reaction, I simply smiled and said, "Perfect. I'll call you a taxi." The sound of my voice shattered her act. Her face went pale, hands trembling as the suitcase slipped from her grip and hit the floor. She stared at me, stunned, like the world had tilted off its axis. "You're serious?" she whispered. I nodded. "You've been threatening to leave for months." I figured I'd finally help you follow through. For the first time, she was speechless. No snark, no manipulative tears. Just a woman realizing a man she thought would never stop loving her already had. The silence was heavy. She sank onto the bed, eyes wide, voice trembling. "You don't even care anymore." I sighed. "I did more than you'll ever understand. But love without respect is slow self-destruction. I loved you enough to give trust. You loved me just enough to test it." She stared at her hands, shaking, unrecognizable even to herself. For years, she had held the power, the teasing, manipulation, guilt-tripping. But in that moment, it crumbled. She felt what true indifference is. The feeling when someone stops fighting, not because they're weak, but because they've had enough. That night, she didn't leave. She stayed in the guest room, crying softly. I didn't comfort her. For years, I had fixed everything. This time, silence spoke. The next morning, she tried to act normal, making coffee like nothing happened. I walked in, took my mug, and said, "You don't need to pretend. You said you were leaving. I won't stop you." She broke down, whispering, "I didn't mean it." I looked at her long and said, "You meant every word. You just didn't expect me to believe you." Weeks passed. She tried to patch things, cooking dinners, leaving notes, showing affection. But once respect is lost, gestures feel hollow. I was polite but distant. One evening, she asked if we could start fresh. I told her, "You can't restart a story after burning the first chapter." That night, she didn't argue. She just cried. I think she finally understood real consequences. Eventually, she left quietly. No shouting, no flung suitcases. She walked away, leaving her key on the counter. I didn't stop her. Some goodbyes need no words, just peace. For months, I rebuilt my life piece by piece. The house felt lighter, quieter, cleaner. For the first time in years, I wasn't tiptoeing in my own home. Months later, I heard she tried reconnecting with those same male friends. They didn't want her anymore. Turns out, her charm only worked when she had a husband to disrespect. Life has a way of teaching lessons love never could. One night, she called, her voice small, fragile. "Mark, do you hate me?" I smiled faintly. "No, Lena. I just finally love myself more." Then I ended the call, peacefully, permanently, without regret.